So the first point, it speaks on we are all God's handiwork. We are all God's handiwork. One of my first points, our bullet points here, says that God created both the leader, watch this, and the laborer with equal worth. No one is superior when all are fashioned by the same creator. We have all been created by God, no matter the ones who you think that are in charge or the ones who you think that are the servants. We're all God's creation. So I want to go ahead and just take a few minutes just to go to these young ladies and just to kind of get some first thoughts on just this lesson, just within your study or whatever your first thoughts are, just from reading this lesson. So I want to go ahead and go to these young ladies and see what are their first thoughts here tonight.
Okay, mine was verse 14. It stood out. What will I do when God confronts me? Because at the end of the day, that's really what it's all about. When being a leader, when just being a follower of Christ, what will I do? What will God say when Judgment Day comes? Mm-hmm. And what will He confront me of? Yes. My wrongdoings, my right doings. That's what stood out. Because at the end of the day, that's good. That's good. That's what matters.
Yes, you're sure right.
I would just add that I think she's absolutely right, and I would just add that when we reference God, we care how we treat people.
Yes.
And what I love about Job is that he was intentional with that. Mm-hmm. He called out. If I'm treating my servants wrong, then please say something, because how often is people who have. We live in a have and have-nots world, right? Yes. So for him to think on that level, I think speaks boldly about his relationship with God.
Wow, that's good. That's good. One of the things I've always said to myself, that I believe that every person who's in leadership, I feel like they should always start at the bottom, if there's a such thing. I feel like they should learn how to be in a place where they are able to clean up. I feel like they should be in a place where they're able to learn how to serve as well, versus just always giving orders all the time. I believe that the best leaders know how to serve well. I believe that best leaders can, really know how to serve. I don't feel like you can even show much of being a true leader unless you've learned how to serve. I remember when I was going to this Chick-fil-A in Midlothian, and I would always see how fast their line was, and I was like, wow, I've never seen a line move like this, not in a fast food restaurant. And I finally met the manager, the person and he was the one that was actually working the drive-through, and that was amazing to see the person who actually owned the establishment, who was out there, with the students, who was actually learning to serve. And I think that this is where we have to really see ourselves as being equal and not above. We have to see ourselves all on the same playing field, because when we see ourselves on the same playing field, we're able to give that 100% that we need to give. Because how do you have those kind of concerns for those that are dealing with things in the forefront if you have never been there? Like it's easy to tell somebody else to go and do a job, but if you don't know how hard that job is, or when people are complaining about things that are happening, if you've never been in that position, it's difficult. To me, I would say it would be difficult to know the true concern of a person who's complaining if you've never been there before, if you've never been in that position, if you've never sat in that on those steps, if you've never been in that in that seat. It's difficult. And that's why I like what Job says. He says that the leader and the laborer are all of equal worth, that no one is superior. It goes to the second bullet point, says that justice begins with recognizing shared humanity. Therefore, power must be exercised with humility and fairness. With humility and fairness. Y'all got anything? Y'all got anything y'all want to share?
Yes.
Just on that one?
Honestly, that reminded me of the political climate we're in today.
Yes.
He talks about, if someone was out without food or without clothes.
Yes.
And how often do we see government leaders making decisions for those to that who
like they should learn how to.
Who making decisions. Hey y'all, making decisions for those who have less. I mean,
yes.
Today SNAP benefits is like $6 a day,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
People are being torn away from their families through immigration. You have people who can't afford to buy clothes, but yet we can offer major tax cuts to millionaires.
Yes.
You know, it's like we live in a society today where only the rich are winning, and the working class and those who have less are scraping to survive.
Yes.
And there are leaders in place that control that. It's leaders in place that use religion and Christianity and the Bible to weaponize us.
You're right.
But don't act and live it through their policies or the things that they do to cripple us financially in our community.
That's
so
good.
That is what the first thing I thought about when I saw that.
That's good. That's good. I like that. Getting back to another one of our bullet points. We're still up under we are all God's handiwork. Another bullet point says that every relationship reflects accountability before God. Dignity is not earned, it is divinely given. It is divinely given. Every relationship reflects accountability before God. That's one word we oftentimes we speak on it, but how many of us actually truly live by that word, accountability? You know, how many of us are actually looking at ourselves? And I think we're oftentimes quick to hold others accountable. But when it's time for us to hold ourselves accountable,
we forget all about it.
We forget about, how strong that word really is. We don't want to hold ourselves. But I like what Job is doing. He is holding himself accountable. He is holding himself accountable in this specific passage. He's not saying anything about anybody else. He is saying me. God, he says Job is defending his own integrity by showing that he did not ignore the rights of his servants. Everything is all about him right now. And I think that's where accountability starts. It starts not with everybody else. Accountability starts with me. It starts right here.
I like the saying where it says, when you pointing a finger at somebody, there's three more pointing back at you.
Yeah. Always. Yes, every relationship reflects accountability before God. Let's get down to some of these good questions, if y'all don't mind. We want to go to you guys. Let's see if we can get some of these questions answered. Let's see. If God created both the powerful and the powerless, how should that shape the way we treat people under our authority or influence? Wow.
Yeah. I live this every day.
Really?
Being in a position of power. Yes. And we should always operate with humility. I love how you said that you believe everyone should start from the bottom and work their way up. And sometimes you can, and sometimes that's not always feasible. But I think that having a servant leadership type of leadership style is always helpful. So that means that when you can help, you do help, and you don't become bigger than the title that you have, right?
Yes.
And that you remember those that are less than. In the position that I have of governance, I don't make decisions based on my personal needs. It's for me to think about all of the people that I'm serving.
Yes.
In my professional life outside of governance, I have a relatively large department, and with various levels of I guess employees, different, I have managers, I have the front line, I have all that in between. And so for me, I always take it as though I'm never too big to do what they do. I'm never too big to listen to what their concerns are, making myself available to them.
Yes.
I often get asked, you don't have to do that. We could do that. But I do it because as leaders, we're supposed to be in the crux with our folks. But, I'm also prior service, and you can understand that. That's kind of how you're trained to operate too. So,
yeah. I've always said, a lot of times we put leadership, we start here, we put leadership here, and we start putting other people under us. But in reality, leadership leads up.
Yeah.
So leadership starts from the big person up. You leading people up. You're not leading people down. So I've changed my entire focus on that, because we used to always put the CEOs and everybody else, the presidents, they're all here, but in reality they're supposed to be leading everybody else up, and that's the joy of being in leadership, when you know how to lead people up. Tara, did you have anything you want to add to that?
Yes, I said treat them with respect and dignity, and it goes back to what we learned when we were little, the golden rule.
Oh man, that's
treat
good.
others how you would like to be treated.
Yeah, that's good.
And I said, because one day if you don't, God is you have to humble yourself, because God is he's a humbling God, and if you don't, he can put you, just because you're a leader, he can also bring you back down to where you started. Even if you never started, he can bring you back down to the bottom where you have to follow under a leader. And I also said lead well, because one day whoever you're leading, they might be a leader. They can be a leader just because they're at the bottom. They, like you said, somebody has to. People have to start everywhere. We all, a good leader starts at the bottom, and you want to be that leader that when whoever follows up under you, they can look back and be like, I had a good leader to teach me. This is what you do.
That's it.
This is how this should be done. This is how you treat people, because actions stick. No matter small or big, and you want to you want to leave that mark, and not just that mark. You want to leave that. You want to leave that presence of God in you, and so that's
wow.
And I was thinking about so for is it Genesis 1:27? For God created mankind in His own image.
Yes.
So if we're all created like Him, then nobody is less than.
There you go.
We may not have, but we're not less than.
Yes. That's good. Wow. Job speaks on listening to the servant's complaints. He speaks about listening to the servant's complaints, and I think that's one of the things that has given, I would say, us of Ebony Hugh as African Americans, just coming up, we all like to, give God our complaints, in the sense we all want to go to God in prayer and tell God how bad it is, or how we're suffering, or how we're dealing with things, and it's always a sense of we wanting God to change the situation. But Job is not saying God changed the situation. Job is saying, God, change me. And I think that's where we have to be in our prayers, even on today, because sometimes the situation isn't going to change. There are a lot of things that are going around right now, in government and things that we're dealing with. And right now, they're just not going to change. So in the midst of those things staying the way they are, in the midst of us going through some of our struggles, in the midst of us dealing with some of the strife and the pain right now, we have to ask God, look within me and help me to stay patient with what's going on right now. And I think that's the joy of what Job is saying right now. He's saying, God, look on me and look in me and help me to change my focus, even though the situation might not be changing. But God, change me. Change me and help me to see things the way you want me to see them. So if there's nothing else that we haven't, if we have anything to take away, let us remember that, for those of you that are watching us, sometimes don't get so caught up in God changing it. Ask God to change you. Ask God to change the way you view things, change the way you see it, so therefore you can see things through the lens of God. Y'all have anything else before we go to our second point here?
I will say that sometimes it can be hard when you're dealing with someone that's habitual and asking for help all the time, which I think is different what Job is talking about, right?
Yes.
Job is just saying be kind.
Yes.
But I could see someone taking this and saying something like, well, what if it's like your kinfolk that calling all the time, always broke, always needs some money?
Yeah.
You may have it, but are you supposed to give it every doggone time?
Yeah.
You know, the Bible talks about how in Proverbs 19, how we should, when we give to the poor, we're lending to God, right? So He's always going to provide. But where is that cutoff at? And I'm asking for a friend. That friend just may be me because my brother just keeps calling me and asking me for money. What do I do, Reverend Griff?
Mine too.
What do I do? Because I'm about to really change my number.
Hey, are you being kind to him, Miss?
I am kind.
Well,
I am
good.
kind. I'm answering the phone. That's kind.
Oh, yeah, it is. If you're answering the phone, you're doing better than most.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what you've done to the least, Well, and I think that's the key, because you never know, like, what kind of test that God is really sending you through. You never know what you continuously keep doing through the Spirit of God, how that's going to bless you on the end. I mean, a lot of times we react out of us just being humans. I believe that, we'll because we're prone to getting upset. We're prone to using our own personal feelings. We're always thinking, oh yeah, you've done this to me before and you're not going to do it to me again. But even in the midst of us having to do forgiveness, like, think about how many times He says forgiveness. And once, even if a person has done you wrong, what did He say, 70 times 70?
It's a lot of times.
Yeah, and you're not literally trying to count those things, but at the same time, it's almost like a sense of infinity to the place to where, God wants us to always to forgive, because that's what He has done for us. We have to continue to love people. Why? Because He first loved us.
But can you love them and not go broke?
I believe you can, because God is going to always provide. We know that. So everything that we do have, He's already given to us, to be honest with you. So to be honest, when we think about what we do have, we really shouldn't have anything if we were to, because of the things that we've committed, because of the sins and the crime, because what we really deserve is death. But the reality of it is that God still loves us. God still cares for us. He still picks us up. So even in the midst of us not doing what we supposed to do, God still says, you know what, I'm still going to give you, because we can't pay for breath. We can't pay for our health. We can't pay for strength. But He gives it to us each and every single day. And that's the joy of being a child of God. And so even in the midst of us being in leadership, and even with those that we feel that are in the sense of below us or in a servant position, God created all of us. So the same strength that He gave to the leaders, He also gave to the servants and those that are in other positions. So, and that's the goodness of who God is. He says, I reign on the just and the unjust. So, and sometimes it seems as though it's unfair, but whoever says that God has to be fair, God is just, and that's the type of God that we serve. And that's the goodness of who He is. So here's another thing. When was the last time compassion moved you beyond words into intentional action for someone in need? When was the last time compassion moved you beyond words into intentional action for someone in need? Would that be going back to you?
Well, despite that, despite my brother who is asked me, I think the last time I would say is I have a neighbor who just had surgery. And she needed help moving around her house. She needed help taking a shower.
Yes.
And she needed help getting dressed, and she just needed a sister to come over and help her. And she called me and asked me would I help. And I didn't hesitate to get to her house. And I've been going now to just check on her and make sure she's okay. Because I think that's what we're supposed to do.
Yes, of course.
Even if it's uncomfortable for us, And because I would want someone to do that for me. And you never know when these tables will turn and you will need someone. That's why you got to watch how you treat people, especially God's people, because you never know when you're entertaining an angel either.
There you go.
So I just try to be mindful of that as people ask.
Yes.
Now, my brother's no angel, though. That I do know.
bringing up your brother, my Jesus.
Because you ain't answered the question.
Yeah, we did.
Okay. I would say mine would be this morning at work. So our therapist, it was a lady who she's bedbound and she never wants to get out the bed. And she's very overweight. And so today the therapist, they were talking in our team meeting, and she was like, their project today is to get her out of bed to see if she wants to get out of bed. And so I just so happened to be walking down the hall that the lady's room was in, and I just hear screaming. Like, it was excruciating screams. Like, you would have thought somebody was dying. And so I just checked, because I'm like, okay, let me go see what's going on, just in case. It's where I work in a nursing home, and as sad as to say, sometimes people who are in the positions that we have to take care of each other, the ones who need it, they don't help. And so I went there to go check, and the therapist, they were lifting her up with the lift, and she was terrified, and she was pulling on it, and they're trying to get her to stop pulling because she can hurt herself. Pulling on it can cause the machine to tilt. And so I went there, and I was talking to her, like, hey, it's okay. And I was like, hey, if you need I said, here, you can hold my hand. I was like, if you need to twist my arm, you need to dig your nails in my arm, do what you have to do, because to just take your mind off. And she dug her nail, as dangerous as this is. I knew it was dangerous, but I took the risk because I knew how terrified she was, and because I didn't want to see her in that pain or see her scared like that. I took the risk of injuring myself. And she dug her nails into me from the time that she was in the air to when she got in her chair, and she felt like she was safe. And with that, they were looking at me, they were like, you're crazy for that. And it was like, yeah, I'm crazy, but
you're not crazy.
I'm like,
are you hurt though?
I'm not hurt at all. It hurt when she was doing it, but I had a long sleeve on, so it didn't puncture any skin. So that's another reason why I took that risk. And so I was like, yes, I'm crazy for it, but at the same time, our job here is to make these people, this is their home. Our job is to make them feel safe within where they're living, their residency. And so if it takes me injuring myself and it's not critical, I'm going to take that risk, because at the end of the day, I know that me getting injured helped her to take her mind off getting in the risk. And sometimes, as being a follower of Christ, you have to do that. You have to put yourself in harm's way, and you have to go out your fate to sometimes make somebody else feel better, feel loved, feel safe.
It's your witness.
Wow.
You know, it's not the check-in into church. It's the how we serve outside of it. And sometimes the service isn't a picture moment, right? Where we're like, hey, look at me. I just gave food to the, homeless. Exactly. Sometimes it's just, being in the gap and helping someone that needs help.
Yes, ma'am.
Wow. Matthew 25:40 says that the king will reply, truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did that for me. When we understand that there are times when we can be entertaining angels, in the midst of what we go through, in the midst of what we see each and every single day, we can never look on a person and see them as though they are not a child of God. And so every time we see those that we feel that are less fortunate, it gives us an opportunity to see who God really is. And that's when we actually see people through the lens of God. When we look through the lens of God, we can see people as God's child. But a lot of times we're only looking on them or at them. If we go back to the man that was sitting at the gate called Beautiful, when Peter and John were passing him by and he was sitting at the gate, he looked at them, not really knowing who they were, but at the same time, he saw them just as people. And I like the fact that Peter and John took the time to see him and look at him through God's lenses. And in the midst of this, watch what happens. They get an opportunity to bless him, and then in the midst of him blessing him, he helped them to bless other people, because that's when the church began to multiply after everything had gone according to what God had instructed them to do. And I think that that's what we have to do sometimes. We have to come out of our own selves and use the instructions of God. So therefore, we can receive the blessing. And watch this. Others receive their blessing as well. And I think that that's where sometimes we can come up short twice, because we miss out on our blessing, not helping others, because if we go through with it, then other people can receive their blessing as well. So let's go down to number 4. Let's go down to number 4. It says
it's
that
number 3.
Oh, you like that one, huh? Let's get back to it. Do we sometimes measure righteousness by personal morality while neglecting social responsibility and justice?
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
Because I think that Jesus was a knuck in a buck type of person. I think he flipped over tables too. And
knuck in the buck?
You know, knuck. If you never mind.
You can say that on this podcast.
Okay, this is what I mean, right? So
the mayor pro tem?
Faith without works is dead. And so we can pray about the injustice that we experience, or we can be about that work and pray about the injustice that we experience and go get justice as well. So I think the fight that he put in me and he put into others and Martin Luther King and them was for a reason. We should be about social justice and responsibility, social responsibility as well.
Awesome. Katera,
yes, I did. I said we do, because a lot of us people, we measure it by, okay, where I'm not having unmarital sex, or I'm not getting drunk. We look at it like that, as being a good Christian, a decent Christian. We look at it, but when you think about how we talk about a relationship, that's bare minimum, if we're being honest.
Wow.
How we talk about, females talk about that a male does a bare minimum, or a woman does a bare minimum. That's as well the relationship with God.
Yes.
You having unmarital sex, you're not drinking, getting drunk. That's the bare minimum. In reality, that's the easy part. But when it goes back to while neglecting social responsibility and justice, I wrote down the system affecting the vulnerable and our times right now.
Yes.
Our system is failing our people who really are in need. And I said power is abused, and it makes it uncomfortable it makes it uncomfortable to confront this power source. And that's exactly what's happening right now with our political parties. We have a political party with our leader who is abusing his power.
Yes.
And him abusing his power is allowing his party to go off and do what they want to do, and it makes it uncomfortable for the opposing other party to confront it, because you have to consider, is this dangerous? Do I have to worry about my life being risked? And it's actually, and I say that, and to back it up, the opposing party, we were taught to not discuss political things, even though they might act like this. And I'm saying that because as African Americans, we're taught you're not supposed to talk about politics in public. So we're following this, but then here you go, you have the opposing party, they're broadcasting it and they're throwing shots. But we're growing up, we're taught, even though people act like that because they're being hit, they're feeling threatened. And you can't, even though they're doing this and attacking you, yes, it's wrong, and yes, you might want to attack back, but you can't. But it also, yes, you can attack back, because we do have people from the party to attack back, but at the same time, it goes to a certain extent, because it falls back on being a Christian. Cannot take it this far, because what would I look like in God's eye? At the same time, you have our leaders for our party. They can only take it so far, because some of them, you never know if they are following their faith. They're gonna, what do I look like in God's eyes if I attack back? I might can get further with it, but I have to think the smart way. I have to think the right way. And at the end of the day, if you believe in one nation under God, then I'm gonna know, hey, God's gonna work this out. So let me fight with God. Let me fight with the Lord. Let me use the Lord as my weapon for it all to work out. So
wow,
yes,
that's good. That's good.
Thinking about it at a national level can sometimes, and I know I brought that conversation into this conversation, but thinking about a national level can be kind of hard to wonder, like, what do you do, right? And it's not always about yelling and screaming. But if you can look at it on a local level, I think sometimes we see injustice on a local level of government, and we wonder, like, should I just remain silent? Is that the righteous thing to do? Or should I speak up? And, the Bible teaches us to speak up for those who can't speak for themselves. But I think it's a method in everything that we do as well. And, I jokingly said, flip over tables and knuck if you buck. But the truth is that we should be able to go to our leaders and bring situations that may seem as though there is an injustice, or there could very well be an injustice, to solve it. I think we have a social responsibility to get out and vote, and I'm proud to be at a church that emphasizes the power and the voice of voting, but not just voting, being educated on who we're voting for and why, and not based on party, but based on character and what they're going to do and their history of what they've done. I think that that's really important as well. So sometimes social responsibility could just be you signing up to serve in a capacity that is a void. One of the reasons why I ran for office was to fill a void that I felt was there. I thought it was strange that I lived in a predominantly Black community and we didn't trust the government, and that we only saw negativity in the news and things like that. And there has to be this honest politician, right? For, I guess, a lack of better word. I believe it is. I believe there are people who, because I signed up to serve. I didn't sign up to line my pockets, and my bills will prove that to you, that they are a plethora and they are not, I'm paying them as I go. I'm a working class person, right? I didn't sign up to get, rich. I signed up to help my community. And those are ways that I think, from a personal morality and righteousness, because I see the service that I do as serving God. When I get calls about, my community looking like there's trash on the ground. I just got a call this week, and I pulled up to their house and I picked it up off the ground. Oh, wow. But now I got to go trace on how it's getting there, because it's a nuisance for the entire street. So those things to me are me showing God's goodness through acts of service, not necessarily having to be violent in the process of it.
Politicians don't get paid?
Only the ones at the top of the ticket. Us at the bottom of the ticket, we don't see enough to. It's not enough to get a bundle, a hair bundle, that is.
You are saying a lot of stuff on here.
This is the young adult class.
Right, it's the young adult class.
Snuck if you buck. Then it was a bundle.
I'm a millennial.
Next it'll be something on lashes or something.
Lashes don't cost that much.
Right. Okay.
Oh, okay.
But a good bundle.
Yeah, it costs a pretty penny.
Yeah. A minute y'all be saying, take me through there or something. All right, let's go to next number 4. Let's see if he'll take us through there. How does a healthy fear of God influence our decisions about fairness, generosity, and advocacy? I'm going to read that one more time. How does a healthy fear of God influence our decisions about fairness, generosity, and advocacy?
A lot. A lot. I would say it controls a lot. We just got out of a series, Grace Got Me Through Again. Is that what it was? I hope I don't mess it up.
Grace Got Me Going Again.
Grace Got Me Going Again.
Yes.
And all those different stories, I was thinking to myself, as each Sunday, God's grace is so real. Like, you really don't deserve what you get, but you try to do your best because His wrath is real. Not only that, the fact that you have is by God's grace. So why wouldn't you not, show generosity or fairness? When I want fairness. I want generosity. Yes. I want the benefit of the doubt. Yes. So for me, you got to give what you want, right? It's all you reap what you sow.
That's it. That's it.
Yes. Once again, I tied it back to verse 14. What will I do when God confronts me? That's really what it boils down to with the mindset and like the fear of God is, what will I do? Because your actions and the way you treat people, it matters. And that says, she nailed it, but that verse it really answers the question, how does a healthy fear of God influence our decisions? Because Job had a healthy fear of God, and he questioned, what will I do when God confronts me?
That's good. That's good. Awesome. Thank you all. Here is a question that I really wanted to get to. That's why I was trying to skip around a little bit. We're getting down to our time here. So we really want to get down to this question. Question number 5 says, are there vulnerable people in our circles? Are there vulnerable people in our circles at work, at church, our community, whose cries we may be unintentionally ignoring? Are there some vulnerable people in our circles, whether it be in church, work, or our community?
What
do you ladies say?
Yes.
Okay.
And so the points I wrote down is high functioning depression and shame might keep people quiet.
Wow.
And so both of these tie into what I'm about to say. So I have a close friend who she committed suicide and stuff a few years ago, and we grew up in church. She actually went to our church and grew up around her. She went to church regularly, how I went, and everybody, we would always say, dang, Arlena's so quiet. Like, we just thought she was a quiet person. And the day that it all crashed and burned, her letter, it said everything, how she had been dealing with depression a lot. And it's not intentional. Like you said, it's not intentional. We don't realize what people are going through. We have our lives, so we can't blame ourselves. And yes, when they point out the signs, you see that the signs are there. You can see it, but you can't see it as it's happening in person.
Yes, that's good.
And so, yes, there are vulnerable people in our circles, because she was in my circle. We we were in youth church together. We were in Bible study together on Wednesdays. Yeah. We talked. And so, as somebody who talked to this person and communicate with this person, and my other peers throughout the church and her friends just outside who were around her and saw her as this loving, high-spirited person, because she always had a smile, we didn't see that she was vulnerable and she was struggling deep down inside.
Right.
But we couldn't blame ourselves, because we were young at the time. We didn't see it. We were battling our problems, but it shows that there is vulnerability around everywhere, just in the Christian community.
Yes. Wow. That's good. So, Crystal, did you want to share anything on that? On question number 5?
I think I'm pretty friendly. So when I see people that are I like to listen to the Holy Spirit, and sometimes the Holy Spirit will tell me, buy their food or share get their gas. It's nothing for me to walk in a restaurant and take care of the person's meal behind me, right? And I think those are just times that I'm just listening to the Holy Spirit. And I think that I think her story, I still remember when she passed.
Yes.
I attended the funeral, and that bothered me for a very long time, because we don't check on our strong friends, and we assume everybody, those who are smiling, are well put together, and we never know what people are going through.
Yes.
But I think the same can be said to someone who may not have money, or is going through financially, or someone who's just lonely, or just needs a friend. And so it reminds me that it takes nothing to smile. Yes. It takes nothing to be nice. Yes, it actually works. I always watch people's facial expressions when I speak to them. It's my thing, right? Yeah. When I greet you, because you would be surprised how many people don't smile back or greet back. And I do it very genuinely, but I noticed that in this society that we live in, it's not always reciprocated.
No.
So it doesn't stop me from doing it. It's just, it's sad to see that that's where we are today as a society.
Wow. So even in the midst of that, we still have to make sure that we're still treating others as not just how we would want to, not how we should, not how we want them to treat us, but we should treat people the way they should be treated. I oftentimes say that if you give love, you can't expect to receive something that you don't give out. If you want love, give love. If you want respect, give respect. That's what I always say. But here's our last final thoughts. The last final thoughts on tonight. We seek justice for all. Job 31:21-23 teaches us that true reverence for God restrains us from abusing power or exploiting the vulnerable, knowing that divine judgment holds us accountable. We seek justice for all when we refuse intimidation, favoritism, or oppression, and allow our fear of God to guide our fairness toward every person. Here are 3 things that we want to live by on tonight, on this week. Pray for help. Pray for help. Every day this week, listen, ask God to reshape your perspective regarding powerless people who need you to help them. Number 2, share your concern. Talk with others in your study group, Sunday school, life sessions, etc., about specific ways God intends for growing believers to look out for people in need. And last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, we want you to say, meet a need. Meet a need. If you're standing beside somebody, say, meet a need.
Meet a need.
That's a good job. Take the initiative to serve God by locating and volunteering at a Christ-centered pregnancy clinic or a shelter for individual or families in crisis. Again, we want to thank you all for joining us on this evening with our young adults for this Monday School of Compelled to Act. Again, that scripture is Job 31:13-23. We're going to go ahead and get out of here. Don't forget to join us at 7 o'clock tonight for our strike back. And again, we're Community Missionary Baptist Church, and we are pastored by the one and only, the Reverend Oscar D.F. Sr. And we're out of here.
Peace.